It's about finding that strength and that courage inside when there's nothing else around you. Like, it doesn't matter the materialistic things that we have or don't have. What matters is getting back up when adversity is trying to knock you down.
Welcome to the Generations of Wealth Show. I'm your host, Derek Dombeck, and today's episode has absolutely nothing to do with real estate investing, maybe. And the reason I say maybe is because my guest today, Kathy Tuccaro, she has been, honestly, to hell and back. And the way that she's been able to face adversity and pick herself up, it's extremely inspirational. She's a ball of energy. And I really, really enjoyed this show, and it's inspired me. I know it'll inspire you. Before I bring Kathy on, I really also want to let you know that if you need anything from the Generations of Wealth family, reach out to us. Go to thegenerationsofwealth.com and find all of our contact stuff there, everything that we're involved in. If you need to get a hold of me directly, just send me an email, derek@globalgow.com. And anything I can do to help you, that's what we're here for. So with that said, we appreciate you following us. If you just found us, welcome, and let's get on with an awesome show. And as promised, here is Kathy Tuccaro. Kathy, welcome to the Generations of Wealth Show. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's quite the surprise.
That's what we're all about. We like to surprise people. You've got a very interesting journey that has nothing to do with real estate investing and nothing to do with a lot of the different topics that we have on this show, but has everything to do with vision and facing adversity and just living life. And I'm really looking forward to having that conversation. But before we do that, can you just tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and then we'll have some fun.
Okay, well, it's quite the story. So I'm a heavy equipment operator for the largest mining equipment in the world up in northern Canada. I work for ExxonMobil / Imperial Oil, and I've been doing this for 12 years. And I started this career at the age of 42. I'm now 55, and it's just been the ultimate best career change ever. And for anybody that would ever think of, oh, geez, I wonder what she was doing before, you would never guess. I mean, so just to backtrack, I went from changing my life in 2012, or 13 is when I got the job. But for the 2 years prior to that, I was drunk and homeless on the streets. I had lost everything I owned. I had absolutely nothing. And before the homelessness, I was a nurse for 13 years. So there's quite a shift in all these three events in my life. But that's why I wrote the book, Dream Big. This is the truck that I drive. You can kind of see it, right? That's how big I drive these. When this box is up, it's 5 stories high. It's a building is what I do. But yeah, I also have a children's book. I'm writing my 3rd book. I'm a philanthropist. I do so much charity all around the world. Everywhere I go, I do Operation Hydration, where I give ice cold water to the homeless. I also started a work boot recycling program back in when I first got hired on. And I needed a pair of boots to change my life. And here I have this golden opportunity, and I don't have boots, or I don't have the money to help myself. So somebody gave me a pair of used boots until I can afford to buy myself one. Well, when I got up north, they were throwing away all these boots, and so I started a work boot recycling program. To date, I've collected over 11,000 pairs of boots and distributed to the communities in need. So, and wow. Oh, and one last thing, I'm also a co-host for a podcast called Women World Warriors, and it's a women empowerment show. And yeah, we were doing really well. We just won 2 awards, and it's doing pretty good. So yeah.
Well, there's a couple things to chat about right there, I do believe.
A little bit.
Kathy. And to be clear, we're both upper Midwesterners. So you don't live in Upper Canada currently. You just
not anymore. No.
Right. So where do you live now?
I'm in Chanhassen, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you always do? You send your shitty weather from Minnesota to Wisconsin. We had this conversation before we started
We
recording,
did.
and stop it. Just stop it. Keep the shitty weather. Send the nice weather east.
Hey, I just spent 2 weeks up in northern Canada in the Arctic because we're like right up there. And it got as low as minus 47 for 3 days when I was there. So, I mean, your eyelashes stick together, your nostrils, you
Mhm.
breathe in, it's like ice coming down your throat. It's brutal, man. So, this
Absolutely.
coming home to this yesterday, it's spring. Okay.
I know. As we're recording this right now, it's about 20, 25 degrees, and
Oh,
that's pretty
it's,
nice.
it's perfect for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
Well, let's go back to a little bit of the beginning. I mean,
all right.
you've now, I believe, probably have an incredible vision for what you want for your life,
Mm.
the way you described it in your quick bio. But what was the turning point for you? I know you had some adversity before. Touch
You
on that, I
know,
guess, and then what led you to your aha epiphany? I got to get myself out of the gutter
uh,
and back to
well,
living.
I've had many pivot points in my life where I had to kind of shift, but the ultimate one, honestly, was my moment of homelessness. I was homeless for 7 days, and for some people, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but for me, it was literally life altering. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. This is my homeless picture.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, right. It was just, I have no more hope in my eyes. I'm completely zonked out. And the moment happened on the seventh day. The only reason I have this is because I had been robbed, and you need ID to get ID, right? And the homeless shelter in Canada, they're credible, I guess. So whatever ID they give, the homeless can actually go get their driver's license back or whatever. So I got this picture taken, and I was surrounded by like 100 zombies, and I call them zombies, just people that were high and just
Hmm.
down and out and all this stuff. And I'm looking at this, and I had my head on the table like this, looking at these people, and I'm thinking, how did I end up here? Like, I'm educated, like I was a nurse. Like, how does this even happen? Like, I couldn't understand it. And so I'm hanging on to this picture, my ID, and I go outside, and there's a guy. His name is Toothless Joe, kind of the icon of the homeless community. He smacked me on the back, and he goes like this: "This is the life, live it, love it." This big toothless grin and drunken, whoa, let's party sort of thing. That was my moment. It's as if I call it a God smack, because when
Hmm.
he touched me, it's as if decades of depression and just horrific things in my head, it just shattered. And for the first time in my life, I saw crystal clear. And I'm looking around at my very dismal surroundings, and I look at him and talk about vision. Although I didn't really have a vision, all I knew was that I would do whatever it took to get away from that guy. So I look at him and I say, "What did you just say?" I'm like, this, whatever this is not my life. I know, I've always known since been a very young child that there's a bigger purpose than what I was living. And I didn't know what that was. All I knew was it wasn't that. So I turned around and I walked to the hospital, and I went to detox for 2 weeks. And then I went to a women's center where I spent a year unlearning decades of abuse, like trauma, and
Hmm.
just to unwind all that sexual abuse, domestic violence, like all these things. This nagging voice telling me that I'm no good and I never amount to nothing and all this stuff. So I had to unlearn all that, and then I had to relearn how freaking awesome I am, and all my qualities, and what I stand for and what I like and what I don't like and all this stuff. It was a big thing. And the hardest part about all that was just accepting it and learning to value who I had become, and no matter of what had was trying to pull me down. And it's a struggle. It really, really is a battle, mostly of myself. I'm my own biggest opponent. And but I'll tell you, that time away from life really allowed me to learn about boundaries, codependency, anger management, self-esteem. Learning to drive this truck, this ginormous truck, has given me confidence. It's given me backbone. It's given me a voice. It's, there's no way in heck anybody can try and pull me down because, buddy, you have no idea what I was just doing last week. I'm on top of a cliff the size of the Grand Canyon. I'm in this giant dozer pushing dirt down above a shovel. It's just crazy. It's dangerous. It's exhausting, but at the same time, it's exhilarating, And so to all those people who said that I couldn't do it, who's doing it? Right?
Well, and that's the part where, I'm always surrounded by business owners, entrepreneurs, and people that it's kind of a thankless world to a certain degree, right? Like you can go and be very successful, but if you brag about it, well, nobody wants to hear it. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have a whole bunch of problems, nobody wants to hear it.
You're
The
right.
entrepreneurial life is very lonely at times.
Mm.
And so what you're talking about resonates, and I think it'll resonate with the listeners too, because it's lonely at the top, it's lonely at the bottom, and in between is kind of a purgatory sometimes, right? Like
Mm.
you for in my world, in the business world, in my business vision, we have goals and aspirations, and in my personal vision, we have quality of life. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes shiny object syndrome, wanting to go start another business or go another direction, looks great, your friends are doing it, or some person you saw on the news is doing, or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to go do that. And then it takes you away from your family and your kids, and the quality time that you have in your personal vision. And next thing you know, you're a zombie of a different nature, and you're
Mm-hmm.
owned
Yep.
by your job, or you're owned by your business, and you're really not enjoying life at all. I very much relate to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
um, so we all want to know, I mean, how did the opportunity to drive this 5-story high dump truck come about?
Yeah.
Was this, I mean,
Okay.
did you just
I know that's another story,
start
right?
Googling and saying,
So
I
no,
want to.
no, I had no idea these things even existed. I mean, come on, right? So no, I knew that I couldn't go back to nursing. I was 42 at the time. And you know how hard that is to change careers when that's all I knew was nursing. I know nothing else. So I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like, what I was good at. Or so I went to a career planning workshop to find out what I wanted to be when I grow up. And it was a 3-day thing. And so after they do aptitude test, personality tests, and when they were done, um, the lady, the facilitator, hands me my sheet, and in big block letters, it said heavy equipment operator. I laughed so hard that I just about fell off my chair. I'm like, you've got to be joking, right? I said, I'm 42. I'm a woman. I don't even like equipment. I'm not mechanically inclined. And honestly, it's a guy's job. I said, your test is wrong, right? I gave it back to her. There's a guy next to me, says, probably his. This is some big mix up. So she goes like she puts her glasses down like this and puts a hand on her hip and pushes the test back to me and says, if only you'd believe in yourself a little bit, missy, you'd see the test is right. So she turns around, puts on this 10-minute it's possible YouTube video, and I'm sitting like this with my arms crossing, and this bullshit. Like I just wasted 3 whole days, blah 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 blah, right? Like a heavy equipment operator, as if. Well, as the video is playing, it's talking about if you have a goal or a dream, don't ask yourself whether you can achieve it, but rather, is it possible? Is there a minute way that it's possible? So I started thinking, well, damn, I'm a good driver. I used to race cars and I love it, do the bump and pass, slam into each other. I was really good at it. So I'm like, I can drive a truck. Not thinking, not knowing that these big boys existed. I'm thinking the 18 wheelers, right? Just
Mhm.
a semi. I could drive that. And hey, I can go from Canada to the US. I can travel. This is great. So in Canada, only in Alberta, there's this nonprofit organization called Women Building Futures. And it's companies that sponsor programs to get women into the non-traditional trades: electrician, carpentry, plumbing, whatever, right? Journeywoman, crane operating, and heavy equipment. So the day I went, had I gone there a day earlier, I'd have missed it. But the day I went I got there half an hour earlier, and I was thinking about, applying to get my class one. Well, as I'm there, the secretary says to me, "Oh, you might be interested in this. This just came out of the fax machine, literally hot off the press." And it was an offer from ExxonMobil to do a pilot project for, they paid for 16 women to take a 12-week heavy equipment course. And there's 158 women that applied. I only got picked because I had nothing left to lose. You want me to do a backflip? I'll do a backflip. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And anyway, I got picked, and lo and behold, every piece of equipment I'm getting on, I'm on the excavator loading a rock truck. I'm like, holy crap, look, I can do this. I can do this. And it's something in my mind flipped. And it's all of a sudden decades of being told how useless and how no good and all this stuff. I'm like, holy crap, I got this. And it changed everything. And so Exxon, after the 12 weeks, they hired 11 women who did the course, and I got hired, and it's changed my life. It's absolutely 100% changed my life. Now, like my books in 4 languages, the book is not about, has nothing to do about mining. It's about the struggle, about overcoming hardships. I mean, I was raped and gang raped and beaten and strangled, and I mean, so many horrible stuff. And now, who's driving this truck? So it's not just a truck, it's other stuff. But it's about hope. It's about finding that strength and that courage inside when there's nothing else around you. Like, it doesn't matter the materialistic things that we have or don't have. What matters is getting back up when adversity is trying to knock you down. I'm like, no, no, I'm gonna fight, to the point where, look, now I'm a little mini me. So I got these big fists. Caterpillar gave me the rights to put a little haul truck here. I'm officially designer miner.
Nice.
All right. I know.
Oh my
I get a kick
gosh.
out of it.
That is
And
fantastic.
actually, I'm also Barbie in trucking. I don't know if you can see this. This was just this year. There's the little coloring book, and I just got plastered in. I'm page 1. They talk about equipment.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. So, if only Toothless Joe could see me now, he'd never believe it. So when I talk about adversity, I tell people that, you don't know what miracles are laying around the corner. Just because you can't see it, that doesn't mean it's not there. You have to go get it. You have to pull yourself out of yourself and reach out and get the help that you need in order to take that next step. Because every level is going to require a different version of who you are. Like, who I was back then is not who I am now, you know?
I 100% I know, and in the entrepreneurial world, it's right now people are panicking. There's certain population of people are panicking in the United States with interest rates being where they are, and they can't find real estate deals, or they can't, get the financing they need for their businesses, and a lot of that is because people started their businesses as the economy was good and inflation was going up, and specifically in real estate, people could buy a house in Canada or the United States in the last 10 years, buy a house, and a few years later sell it and make a profit. I mean, everything just went up. And
Mm,
now that is starting to change. So the number of people that are now facing adversity in their lives is on the increase.
mm,
Um, and now, I mean, as we're recording this, we have a new president, and
mhm.
who apparently is going to take over Canada and annex you guys into our 51st state. I don't know if you've heard that social media fun stuff, but it,
Eh.
yeah, I know
I'll
it's
believe it when I see it.
exactly. I just giggle every time. But since you're Canadian, I figured I'd bring that up. But but the thing is, anybody can always find an excuse not to do something.
You're right.
It's it's
Absolutely.
it's
You can find
instead
100 excuses not to do something.
right. And it's the small percentage of people that get past that, get, as you said, you're not the same person today as you're going to be tomorrow, because
Hmm.
today you learned something. You should learn something every day, and you should be able to get over your own bullshit, quite honestly. And
That is well said.
yeah, because that's all it is. We all play our head games with ourselves. We all have limiting beliefs about what we
Yeah.
can do. And hell, Donald Trump has limiting beliefs. Probably very few of them, but he has some kind of limiting beliefs. And they may pertain to something that is so off the wall, none of us would ever guess it, but everybody has some form of limiting beliefs. And just get over it. Just get over it, right, Kathy? I mean, come on. You can drive a damn truck that's bigger than people's houses. Get over it.
Well, the tires are 14 feet tall, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. No, it's
Yeah.
interesting to the rest of the audience. I don't edit these shows hardly at all. And Kathy and I were talking a little bit before the show, and to be quite honest, we didn't know how we got connected. And she said, I don't know why you want me to be on this show. I'm not a real estate investor. And I said, yeah, but you've got a great story. And there's a reason that you're on this show. And honestly, you're motivating the shit out of me. And my job is to motivate everybody that listens to my show, right? So I think it's fantastic. And the fact that
Awesome. You
you've
just made
gone
my day. Thank you.
100%.
Uh,
If you can, just by telling your story and me telling my story, I've been through adversity in the business world, and my wife and I couldn't have kids naturally, so we went through adversity to have
mhm.
kids and adopt kids and just all these different things, right? We all have
We
our
do.
our shit.
Everyone.
Absolutely.
Everyone. Yeah, but it's what you do with them, and how you manage to flip the switch in your thinking that gets you through it. Like my daughter's really struggling right now, like really struggling, and I'm trying to help her, and I'm like, you know, I said, I can only guide you. I can only show you some steps and give you some tools for your toolbox. But ultimately, I said, honey, you got to pick up that phone and make that hard phone call. I can't do it for you. I can't. As much as I love you and much as I want to cuddle you and hold you and guide you, you have to make the call. You have to make the decision. You have to take stock of your life, of what you like, what you don't like, what's making you happy, what's making you miserable. Remove the toxicity of everyone around you that's not uplifting you, and decide, what do I need for me, you know? And so yeah, we just had this conversation, her and I, this morning before we came on, and I'm thinking that that it helped. I said, back when I was, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. Do we have time? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So when I'd lost my nursing career, now you got to understand, I was 40. I had never said a word of any of my trauma to anybody, like not one word, not my mother, not like nobody. So I was that person. I make a really good nurse because I'm taking care of every Joe Blow but myself, right? So, and I got this great smile, and I'm like, yeah, so nobody knows, right? I'm really good at hiding. And so, but the hiding became drinking, and then the drinking just kind of de-escalated, and all of a sudden I'm a full-blown alcoholic, and that's how I lost my career. But amidst other things, being unable to look at my own problems. So anyway, so I went to my first treatment program back in 2009, and coming out within 2 days, I'm drinking again like a fish. And so I get fired from the hospital. And so I'm in this shitty little basement suite that, there's no light, no nothing, and just misery. And I laid on the couch for 3 days waiting for God to save me. Right. I just waited. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. You come help me. Right. And on the third day, I'm on my knees and I'm bawling, right? I have no money, no resources. I'm all alone. Just like I have nothing. And I couldn't even comb my hair. I was that depressed. So I'm on my knees and I'm bawling. And this song, I was listening to the Foo Fighters, my favorite band, and this acoustic version of Another Round comes on, and the song just goes, "Can you go another round? I will follow you. Can you go another round? I will follow you." So I stopped crying for a minute, and I kind of look up like this, and questioning myself, can I go another round? Like, do I have the strength? And the one window in my shitty little apartment, it was blocked by the guy upstairs was a hoarder, so it was just garbage everywhere outside, and it was black. But a ray of light about the size of about this big, it came through the darkness, and it hit me in my heart center. And I'm on my knees and I'm looking at this ray of light, and in the middle of the ray of the ray were stars, blue, pink, purple, orange, green, and they were twirling. And the song is playing, can you go another round? I will follow you. So as it's looking here, and I'm looking up, being a little sassy, I'm like, oh, you'll follow me, hey, we'll see about that. So I get up and I move over to the little kitchen. The light followed me. It was glued to my heart center. Now it has my attention, right? So I'm looking up. And so what do? I went from the kitchen over to my little futon and I started jumping up and down. The light never left my heart center. And the song is playing, can you go another round? I will follow you. Now I know there's a bigger purpose, right? So I get back down on my knees and I surrendered. I'm like, okay, God, clearly there's something going on here. I don't know what, but whatever it is you need me to do, I'll do. So all I said was, okay. In that second, I hear this voice say, Kathy, get up. I panic because my crazy ex used to stalk, and he stalked me for a year, and he'd break into that very apartment I was in. So I thought he was behind me. So I look and there's nobody there. So it said again, get up. So I get up. There's a knock on the door. It was Buddy who lived upstairs. He's like, I had this nudge that you're not doing so well. Can I help you? And when opportunity knocks, literally, you take it. So he brought me to Detox, where I went to this. That's when I found out about the year-long faith-based program for women, where all you do is from 9 to 4 is learning all these things. So the point of all this is that in my darkest moment, in my moment of despair, and I know there's lots of people out there who are struggling, who aren't telling other people, you put on that face. You have to believe in a higher power, in something bigger than yourself it's gonna show and guide you. And that's what I was telling my daughter this morning, that if I didn't have that, you gotta hang on to something, and you gotta find it. But sometimes you have to make those calls. You have to, do those 1-800 numbers, whatever it is. Call the crisis line, the distress line, the suicide line, whatever, and get the help that you need. So that's a little.
There should be a crisis line for real estate investors. That might be, I shouldn't joke about stuff like this, but yeah, you just never know. And everybody needs that sometime. And that's one of the reasons why I love our network of people that, are part of the Generations of Wealth. We've established people from all over the country, for sure, and other parts of the world, where we can lean on each other. Oftentimes I think we're too close to our friends and family, and we don't want them to see us struggling. But when we have a friend, like I have some of my best friends live 1,000 miles away from me, I can call on them. They're not seeing me physically every day. So it seems like we're more inclined to listen to each other, because we don't take each other for granted. We don't see each other all the time. And those have been some of the best people when I have a challenge in my life to just call on and lean on. And our friends and family that are close to us are often the most oblivious to what we need. And as you said, you were helping everybody else as a nurse, and nobody knew you needed help.
That's right. I didn't realize I needed help. That's the thing. I had tricked myself into believing that I'm tough. I'm a survivor. I got this. Whatever happened in the past stays in the past. Let sleeping dogs lie. It happened a long time ago. Yeah, no, it's like an infection that sets inside, like in a wound, same thing, but an internal wound. It affects the way you think. It affects your decisions. And until you deal with it, it just festers and festers and festers. So, at some point, it's got to come out some way.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've got your book Dream Big. It's available on Amazon. So you guys,
it's in 4 languages: English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Okay, I understand the English and the French because you're from Canada.
Yeah, I'm French.
Why Portuguese?
Well, because I have friends down in Portugal and down in Brazil.
Okay.
And they kept asking me, oh, I'm like, what, I'll do it. So, and I travel a lot to Spanish speaking countries. I'm learning to speak Spanish. So, I just hang on 1 second. Look at this. This is on my wall. I have a children's book, and it was the first time I got to donate my children's book in Tijuana to 3 little Spanish girls.
Nice.
And I was unable to speak with them because my Spanish was very poor. And this was my motivation to start speaking Spanish. So, me llamo Catalina. That's all I know.
Well, that's amazing. And that's
why,
it's a great reason to learn too.
Well, yeah, right. It was very distressing to me to not to be able to communicate. I know I kind of got the idea. They asked me if it was my story, my children's book, and it is, but it it's a beautiful, beautiful illustration. My graphic artist, it's unbelievable the pictures that he did, and it's kind of it's a book of inspiration for anybody going through anything. That if you can find your strength on the inner, through through your spiritual beliefs, that yeah, it'll give you that invisible power, so to speak.
Well, that's awesome. What was the name of the podcast that you co-host again?
Women Road Warriors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We
everybody,
just got voted the #1 People's Choice Awards. That was in November. I know, for podcasts.
nice.
Pretty cool. We are in the top 2.5% out of, what was it, 5 million podcasts, or it gets crazy just
Well,
on Apple. Yeah.
now you're just bragging, Kathy. You're doing
I'm
way
pretty
better.
proud of that. If
You're,
only Toothless
oh,
Joe could see me now.
yeah, but Generations of Wealth isn't anywhere near that. So,
No.
now you're just killing me.
Oh no, come on.
I can't make excuses though. I just got to get over my shit and make it happen, right? So there we go.
Well, it's
Well,
all based on Shelly, my co-host, does most. I just show up. She's so awesome that she does all the back work stuff that
mhm.
I really know nothing about. So I'm really good at this, but
I
when it
am
comes to
very,
technical
very
stuff,
similar,
forget
very
it.
similar to you in that
Can't do
regard. Uh-huh.
it. I hand wrote my book sitting in the haul truck at work. Hand wrote, because we're not allowed our phones or electronics. So on a legal pad, I wrote it in a month. I
Really?
did. Yeah, yeah.
I
13
just,
hours sitting in a piece of equipment. Sometimes you're sitting on standby for a couple hours. You got time to, in case you didn't notice, I have 8 hamsters and 1 wheel in this noggin. It's always spinning, and there's lots going on.
that's fantastic.
So to just sit there for 12 hours, it's kind of hard. So I use my truck is my office. Step
Mhm.
into my office. Come check out my world, right? So
I love it. I love it. Well, I really appreciate you coming on Generations of Wealth
yeah.
show and sharing your story with us. If this doesn't inspire some of our listeners to, get over some of their challenges, then, well, they have to listen to it again. So, um,
Yes, they do.
is there
You know,
any other places besides your podcast, any social media or anything people follow you on?
Instagram, it's designer miner CA, because I am designer miner. Uh, Facebook is just my name. I'm really bad at social media. It's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn is my name.
Okay.
That's about it. Kathy Tuccaro, Tuccaro. I got, Google me, you'll see it. I think there's like 5 pages. There's tons of stuff. Like, I do so much
Nice.
charity. I do so many things all over. Yeah, you'll find me. And if
Beautiful.
anyone out there is struggling with whatever, go to my website, www.kathytuccaro.com. There's a contact thing on there, and reach out to me, and I will reach out back. I promise. So, if anonymity, just whatever. If you have a question, if something you want to talk about, just reach out.
That's awesome.
And for you send me your address, and I'll send you a copy of my book. So,
I'll do that. I'll
okay,
absolutely do that.
all right.
And I've got a couple books, one on each side of my shoulders there, and I'll send them back to you. So
Woohoo!
um,
Deals.
absolutely. So one
I'll
is
even I'll,
the
I'll send you a little mini me too.
nice. I want that for sure. I want that.
Okay.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much.
Okay.
We'll wind this up right now and
All
say,
right. Thank you.
everybody listening, come back for the next show. And until then, live your vision, love your life. See ya.
Bye.